Quran study. Today we'll be reading from Surah 26, starting at verse 108. Let's all seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. 108. You shall reverence God and obey me. I do not ask you for any wage. My wage comes from the Lord of the universe. You shall reverence God and obey me. They said, how can we believe with you when the worst among us have followed you? He said, how do I know what they did? Their judgment rests only with my Lord, if you could perceive. I will never dismiss the believers. I am no more than a clarifying warner. So we can see a continuation from, the last study in the previous verses where, specifically this surah details the exchange among the messengers and prophets into what they went to their people with. They went with proofs as well as a clarifying message, a bearer of good news as well as a warner. So it's always twofold. For those who want to believe and do good and heed the call, that they have good news. But of course, the test just begins for these people as it does for anybody. But that we have God's promise: if you obey, believe, lead a righteous life, and observe all the commandments, and strive in His cause, there's paradise, and on the other hand, there's hell, where the warning, that's where the side of the warning comes in. So it's always as with every prophet messenger, they both came as bearers of good news as well as a warner. And we can see that they're going to their people, and this was Noah, right? So I'm just looking at the last verses, starting at 105, 106, 107, and picking up at 108. He's inviting his people to reverence God and obey Him. But of course, due to their arrogance and their excessive disbelief, it causes them to go astray, to their own detriment. And they're not hurting God in the least. They're only hurting themselves. And also, we have a criterion of all the messengers, right? Of a genuine messenger. And this is just, I should point out, this is not the criterion, but this is just one of the criterions, which lets easily distinguish between a fake messenger and a real messenger, right? And that a real messenger is going to worship God alone and advocate this alone, right? And then he's not going to ask the people for any money. And he's going to come with a powerful proof. He's going to come with some type of proof and miracle. But we can look at here. It's been the same. Noah says, I did not ask you for any wage, because he knows his wage comes only from God. And even if he was given a wage, he wouldn't want it. His message, his purpose is to invite those who want to believe. And we can see he reverences God. He doesn't take these things for granted. He doesn't take, like there's a verse, like in the Quran, it says the believers do not take their Lord's requital for granted. So he's inviting his people to wisdom, but we can see that their excessive disbelief and arrogance causes them to go astray. And also, we can see that one of their responses, among many of their bad responses to Noah, but the quote unquote worst people, uh, at, within that community were actually the people who believed, and they see this as an issue. And Noah responds, with wisdom. He says, "How do I know what they did? Their judgment rests only with God, if you could perceive." And he says, "Only with my Lord, if you could perceive." And then he goes on to say that he will not dismiss the believer. So, regardless of what your status was with whatever community, the people who attain the best status, right, not just in this world, but in the hereafter, the ones who are going to believe. So it doesn't matter what they did in the past, and also it's irrelevant. Like, in the sense of, once you decide to believe, um, that's what matters, and that's why he says, "How do I know what they did?" It's not. He doesn't know anything about their history or whatnot. Even if he did, it's beyond this point now. There's a disaster coming, and he's warning his people. And but we can see that the people don't want to be helped. They want to continue in their sinful ways. In other words, just following Satan without realizing it. 116, they said, "Unless you refrain, O Noah, you will be stoned." He said, "My Lord, my people have disbelieved me. Grant me victory against them and deliver me and my company of believers." We delivered him and those who accompanied him in the loaded ark, and then we drowned the others. This should be a lesson, but most people are not believers. Also, another. Uh, these were wicked people, because you can see the response. He's not doing anything but inviting them to God. He's not even. Uh, he's just, talking to his people, privately, publicly, etc. And they want to stone him because of this. You can see the level of transgression that these people are willing to commit just for somebody that's not even infringing upon any of their quote unquote rights, but basic human rights of freedom is what I mean by that. But we can see that they want to stone him just for inviting them to the path of God, the path of forgiveness. So and such people are destined to fail, and God grants victory to his messengers and prophets. And we can see that, Noah is imploring God for victory too. This is also a verse. Victory and support from God is something that the believers truly love, because it's something that, a submitter uh, loves the truth, adores the truth, and especially, like, against the disbelievers, who want to advocate evil and falsehood, and not just hurt themselves, but they seek to hurt others, those who believe, those who who are on the fence, those who maybe aren't believers at this point, but basically inviting them in the real sense, they're inviting them to hell. So these people are not good people, and having attaining victory over this, is a great triumph, and it's only possible with God's help and God's support. But mashallah, I think it's interesting, in this surah. It always kind of reminds me of the two verses, or the few verses from Surah 12, Joseph, how it says, most people, no matter what you do, will not believe. And then out of those who do believe, most people don't do so without committing idol worship. But we see the same thing in here. We see the same because this Sarah, it covers Moses, Abraham, Noah. It covers the other prophets. We're about to start talking about Hud. But we can see that this phrase is commonly seen throughout this surah. It says this should be a lesson, but most people are not believers. So again, we see that the majority of people, if you follow the majority of people on earth, you're going to go astray. And this is a Quranic fact, right? And then also the verse it says, "You shall reverence God and obey me." This is also another common, as we'll see in the next 131, and we might have already read a few verses that covered this, but these are recurring messages and lessons for us to think about, and of course, they're be reminded of. And I mean, it's a message for the whole world, but only those who are truly fortunate, and blessed by God are going to be able to take heed. And it's not anything that the person has done themselves. It's just a mercy, and that's why the messenger of the covenant, he refers to it as even coming this far is being extremely fortunate. But we still have a lot of work to do as submitters. Um, and this doesn't guarantee our salvation either, just because we get the message. And this is why we should double down, as that saying goes, or triple down, or more with our submission, um, you know, uh, in our soul growth, and so that we can make it and be secure on the day of judgment. Most assuredly, your Lord is the Almighty, most merciful. Who disbelieved the messengers. Their brother Hud said to him, "Would you not be righteous? I am an honest messenger to you. You shall reverence God and obey me." So, as it was with the same with Noah and the previous messengers, he's inviting them to the right path. And he also says something too that is very, I like this message. How he's telling them straight, very direct and straightforward, that he's not asking. He's an honest messenger, and as with all the messengers and prophets, he doesn't seek any wages. 127. I did not ask you for any wage. My wage comes from the Lord of the universe. So we just read the same thing again with Noah. So these are really important. I think these messages and the verses are being repeated here because it's the same consistent theme of that we see with God's righteous servants and his messengers and prophets, that they don't ask the people for money. I mean, and this is the type of person you would common sense would tell you to trust. But of course, most people alive today, as well as the previous generations, just as we've learned from history, they tend to not believe people like this, and they tend to believe the people, the corrupted church leaders, the pagan idol worshippers, whether they're imam, a pastor, mufti, a rabbi, that asks the people for money. And there's people in masses and large numbers that are willing to give these people money. But if you see the common occurrence is, a lot of these people, their hearts gravitate, or rather hear the message, the falsehood, rather than the truth. And so that's why they like, they set up these people as idols, because they don't, most people, when they hear the truth, they don't like it because it doesn't conform with what they desire. So that means there's something wrong with these people and their hearts. I'm not saying these people can't change, but that it causes them to, it augments their strain. Because you remember, intercession is Satan's most effective bait, and somebody who somebody with most people, somebody with not the right heart is going to naturally, even when they get the truth, and they might know it's the truth deep down or subconsciously, but they still prefer falsehood because they want the easy way out. They don't want to come to terms with why we're here, that we're rebels, we're creatures, etc. But even, I mean, even beyond that scope of that information on where we came from, and the things that happened before Genesis, just on the basis of worshiping God alone, we can see that most people are idol worshipers. And as we will continue to read, the same recurrence and reminder of the message that no matter what we, no matter, most people are not going to believe. 128, you build on every hill a mansion for vanity's sake. You set up buildings as if you last forever. Excuse me. And when you strike mercilessly. You shall reverence God and obey me. Reverence the one who provided you with all the things you know. He provided you with livestock and children and gardens and springs. I fear for you the retribution of an awesome day. So we can see that despite what these people are doing, they're still being given an opportunity to come back to God, and that that they built. The people of Ad built. I think they were the ones who carved their homes into great. Had these great carved homes into mountains and canyons, etc. But we can see that they were transgressing people, that they did not worship God, and that they were doing, these things for vanity's sake. It's interesting too. It's like on every hill, and the way they build these things as if they're gonna last forever. So they were obviously, people who were disbelievers, and probably excessive disbelief. And they weren't righteous because, when they would strike mercilessly. So there was not, so they were a corrupted society, in other words. And yet, after all this, God is forgiver, most merciful for those who would hear his call, and he sends, as we know, we have the principle in the Quran that's told to us, he never annihilates any community without sending a messenger amongst them, to warn them. So that, I mean, if they don't take heed, they'll bear witness to their own sinfulness, and there's no excuses that these people have. And he's also reminding them of all the blessings that God, Hud is reminding his people of all the blessings that God has given them, and to remember God, and reverence the one who provided them with all the things they do not know, or all the things that they do know. And then also 135, I fear for you the retribution of an awesome day. They said it is the same whether you preach or not preach. That affliction was limited to our ancestors. No retribution will ever befall us. So uh, yeah, Noah was before, I believe, was before the Hud, the people of Ad, and then there was Ad and Thamud, and then Hud was the messenger of Ad, and I think Saleh was the messenger. Thamud. But those generations came after Noah, and as as also one of the things that we learn from the Quran too, that when these communities are annihilated and that they're set up as precedents, for the future generations, and each community that was preceding the future one was even more powerful, and this is noted in the Quran. And this is again, this is a Quranic fact that should remind us, as well as and it's also being told to the people, the generations in here, that if these people are annihilated, do you not think that you can be annihilated as well? It's the same. I mean, it should cause them to really think about this. But we can see that their ears are deaf to the message. It's like they have their fingers in their ears, because if you look at the response in 136, they don't care to hear the message. It's the same whether who warns the people or not. And I mean, this is the case too with a lot of people, and then specifically today's generation that has the annihilation coming, the Arabs, right, for their excessive disbelief and opposing God's message, and also rejected their messenger. And so their annihilation is coming. They're going to be another. They're going to be another. I guess tick on the timeline, in the sense of they're following the path of these people as well. And it's interesting because this is pretty much always the case. We've noted the messengers, their prophets, are rejected by the people. There's not too many people that do believe with them, but there are some, and then those people are saved, and then the people that are doomed are going to be the people in the majority, and amongst these communities. And we can see that they have arrogance too. How sure they were that no retribution would befall them. So we can also see, their ego. What it means, that when ego causes people to go blind, it's arrogance augmented by ignorance. So the more arrogant you are, the more ignorant you're going to be, and vice versa. And we can see how confident, they like they're so sure. I mean, this is the same type of response to, or the same type of thinking with other communities. I mean, as we just read in the last study with Pharaoh, um, they didn't think they would be annihilated, and they challenged. And even when they were shown, given great signs and many chances, they still reverted. As we saw with the plagues with Pharaoh and his people. 139. They thus disbelieved, and consequently we annihilated them. This should be a lesson, but most people are not believers. Most assuredly, your Lord is the Almighty, most merciful. So yeah, we can see that. We can see this here too. That this verse also follows. The part of the verse where it says, how these are lessons, but most people are not believers, right? And how God is still the most gracious, most merciful, and He's the Almighty. But we also remember that He's strict in enforcing retribution. He's the Avenger. He's the most powerful. He's the omnipotent. He's the giver of life, bringer of death, doer whatever He wills. So these people just can't go on and on and on and continue to disbelieve and say, oh, nothing's gonna happen to me. God is most gracious, most merciful. Like, no, that's not the case. I mean, these people don't believe in the first place. But we can still see this. It's a trap, a common trap of how people of today's monotheistic religions, when they call on their idols and stuff, they tend to uh, um, dwell on this excessively. Dwell on their wishful thinking that God's gonna forgive them no matter what they do, or Jesus is gonna forgive them, or God's gonna forgive them because Jesus is gonna intercede, etc., etc. But they're only tricking themselves. Like the old saying goes, I mean, uh, you can't fool God. So these people could try to fool themselves, or or think that they're going to get away with idol worship, but it's not gonna be accepted from them. I mean, it's the same thing I was reading the other day with the children of Israel, the Jews, that or the people that distort the scriptures and says don't you know, give the people, the believers, information, this, to avoid or to prevent them from having more of a basis for their argument against us. And it says, the next verse says, do they not realize that? And these are people who believed in God. These are recipients of the previous scripture. These are the Jews. And the next verse says, do they not realize that God knows their secrets, and their innermost thoughts, and knows the unseen? So here they are. I mean, they apparently believe in God, right? I mean, they're people, children of Israel, and they're saying things like this, like literally wickedness. And so, I mean, I don't know what goes through people's minds, what was going through their mind, thinking they can. But it really they have to have disbelief, because else they wouldn't. They know, for saying stuff like that, it would cause them to get in trouble. 141 Saleh, Thamud disbelieved the messengers. Their brother Saleh said to them, would you not be righteous? I am an honest messenger to you. You shall reverence God and obey me. So yeah, this is again, we have the next. We have another messenger that's being discussed here, who's asking them the same thing, essentially what who said above about inviting them to be righteous, and he's not even asking them for money, right? And he's saying he's an honest messenger to them, and he's inviting them to reverence God and obey him, that they may be saved. But we can see the response. I do not ask you for any wage. My wage comes only from the Lord of the universe. Do you suppose you will be left forever secure in this state? You enjoy gardens and springs and crops and date palms with delicious fruits. You carve out of the mountains luxurious mansions. So these are actually a correction earlier. What I was so Thamud were the people who would carve out of the mountains these luxurious mansions. The people of Ad, Aram, or was the town of Aram. Those are the people that had these very profound buildings and stuff. But they weren't the ones that carved out of the mountains, but Thamud was. Or they both carved, yeah. Um, but it's the same thing, the same message that's being given to these people. Uh, I mean, even the quotes too. It's interesting. They might have said the very exact same words too. I mean, because we know that they were guided by God, right? All the messengers and the prophets, they didn't speak on their own accord. But we can see the same thing, that these people felt very secure, as we see today, with the disbelievers today in positions of quote unquote power. And I say quote unquote power because, we know all power belongs to God, like quwwata illa billah. So it's just an illusion, that these people, but this is a testing ground for all of us. And this is part of the test, and the world we live in, this worldly dimension. But we can see this is the same. It's the same thing, even with the Arabs, and not just the Arabs. I mean, you pick any corrupted leaders or factions of government or countries. They think that their military might, or that their many supporters, are gonna somehow save them, or even if they build these formidable structures or these underground bunkers and all of this stuff that is gonna but they don't think about death, and even so many of them are so afraid to die, right? And so they're setting up all these types of ways to try to upload just like ridiculous stuff. They're freezing themselves and stuff, and then they you know, I don't want to get off topic too much, but I mean the point I'm making here is the lengths that these people will go to try to evade the retribution, or just try to live forever. And 147, you enjoy gardens and springs and crops and date palms with delicious fruits. You carve out of the mountains luxurious mansions. You shall reverence God and obey me. Do not obey the transgressors who commit evil, not good works. They said, you are bewitched. You are no more than a human like us. Produce a miracle if you are truthful. So right now, it's not looking too good for them. I mean, if this is like your response to someone who's, well, number one, he's not asking you for money. I mean, number two, he's inviting you to, the best message. He's inviting you to God, the most honorable Lord that's better than any other fabricated idols or statues or whatever else they could be worshiping, and hope and mercy, in the hereafter, which is far better than anything in this world. Having this to look forward to in the hereafter, God willing. But instead, we can see how bad these people are in their response, that causes them to go astray. And so when they ask him to produce a miracle, they're, oh, we can see that this is a common occurrence too. Like, if you produce this miracle, we will believe. And then they're given a miracle, a profound one, and then they still come up with some other excuse. So we can see how accurate those verses we just read about how most people are not believers, right? Um, like, no matter what you do. 155, he said, here's a camel that will drink only on a day that is assigned to her, a day that is different from your specified days of drinking. Do not touch her with any harm, lest you incur retribution on an awesome day. Yeah, so we can see probably how like sick these people were. Because we know, we'll just read the next verse. 157, they slaughtered her and thus incurred sorrow. The retribution overwhelmed them. This should be a lesson, but most people are not believers. So these people, when they're told don't touch her with any harm, they're probably just foaming at the mouth, as transgressors and direct rebels, uh, just to do the exact opposite. And that we can see that they slaughtered her deliberately. So they're doing it because of their wickedness, and we can see that they didn't hurt. They didn't even hurt the camel either. I mean, the camel just went to heaven, and they didn't hurt God in the least, nor the messenger. So, but they think they're being deliberately evil and rebellious, and this was not just a commandment. This is after seeing a profound proof uh, about this camel. And also, we know that camels at this time were a big deal, right? So each miracle is tailored to each generation. As we know, magic was a big deal at the time of Moses. Healing the sick was a big deal at the time of Jesus. Camels were a very big deal at the time of Talmud, and so forth. And poetic literacy at the time of Muhammad, and we can see all the things that they called him. And then such with our generation, we're in the computer age, so and thus we have a miracle for our generation, and really the future generations until the end of the world, because the hour is close. As we know from Surah 54, one of the signs of the approaching of the end of the world is okay. So 160, verse 160. Lot, the people of Lot disbelieved the messengers. Their brother Lot said to them, "Would you not be righteous? I am an honest messenger to you. You shall reverence God and obey me. I do not ask you for any wage. My wage comes only from the Lord of the universe. Do you have sex with the males of all the people? You forsake the wives that your Lord has created for you. Indeed, you are transgressing people." They said, "Unless you refrain, O Lot, you will be banished." He said, "I deplore your actions. My Lord saved me and my family from their works. We saved him and all his family, but not the old woman. She was doomed. We then destroyed the others. We showered them with a miserable shower, with a terrible shower for those who had been warned." So we can see that, again, with the people of Lot, he went to his people, inviting them to the truth, not asking them for a wage. And also, we see here with these recurring recurring messengers, and the theme here that they also point out to these people the things that they're doing wrong, right? He points out like that they may fix themselves and understand that they are being transgressors. As we see with the people of Lot, an abomination. Uh, and then with the people of Hud, that they struck mercilessly. Also, the way they were acting when they, building mansions for vanity's sake on hills, like not probably just like the Arabs, how they do these things for vanity's sake. They build these towers when there's people hungry and dying on the streets, and they're just they don't know what to do with all their wealth. Same with uh with the people of so it's another thing that they're being corrected in a very amicable, nice manner, but very direct and firm as well. Um, but we can see that uh, most people are not believers. So this should be a lesson. Remember the people who are going to benefit from the message are those who use their ears, use their eyes, use their minds that God gave them. And it's not even that anything good or great about these people that do learn from the message. It's a mercy from God that He gives us hearing and eyesight to be able to understand the message that is in the Quran, the profound wisdom, and not just understand it, but apply it to our lives, right? Because that's the whole purpose is to apply it how it should be applied, and that we may be saved and that we may grow our souls. So just wrapping up here, last few verses. Shuaib, the people of the woods disbelieved the messengers. Shuaib said to them, "Would you not be righteous? I am an honest messenger to you. You shall reverence God and obey me. I do not ask you for any wage. My wage comes only from the Lord of the universe." MashaAllah. So with this, if there's any comments or questions, please feel free. If I made any mistakes, may God forgive me. Thank you.
MashaAllah, thank you. Good study.
MashaAllah.
Mhm. Did we broadcast this study?
Yes, I hit. We're currently streaming right now. It says I hit start streaming.
Oh,
Should
it's interesting
podcast.
because I didn't get an email.
Let me check.
Okay, so
Yeah, I think I got the.
you got, huh?
Yeah, I got the YouTube notification.
Oh, you
So,
did? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. That I see it now. Okay.
Yeah, we can see even the Arabs have the Quran, right? Like specifically the Quran, and that their lessons, like we read, this should be a lesson for people, but most are not believers. So, they have all these lessons and messages of these past communities, and that they're doing the same things, essentially walking in their footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
Like not just building these homes for vanity's sake, but also things like no retribution will ever befall us. They're uh, walking in the same paths, and yet they're not. Uh, they're just still stuck, in their disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
And then the messenger came, and then they're just, all the horrible things that they
Mm-hmm.
did, and like, oh, nothing's gonna happen to us, blah blah, and they're laughing and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So
Yeah, and it's something that these people are still doing. Like
yeah.
all these things that they're, for are forbidden for them. They're
Hmm.
still doing all of them, including practicing homosexuality, um, cheating other people, lying to them.
Yeah, that too. I didn't even think about that.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're given enough rope to like to continue on. You know,
Hmm.
it doesn't just come to them like immediately.
Yeah.
They're given time, and then just
Hmm.
really confirm their
Yeah.
sinfulness and their hardcore rebellious nature.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Um, I just wanted to say something.
Well,
It's like, I mean, in the Quran, okay. Um, I mean, it might be slightly off topic, but it's related to the verses, right? In the Quran, God is talking about homosexuality, right? Then you have these so-called, some of them so-called submitters, you know, who are proclaiming to be submitters and thinking that homosexuality is okay as long as you're not doing the act, you know. And then you have other submitters that are promoting uh, and almost worshiping homosexuals leaders, like Donald Trump, for example, right, with all these things that we see clearly. And then you see these submit. I mean, what is wrong with the submitters of? I mean, the so-called submitters, right? I mean, if we are submitters to God, these things should drive us,
Should repulse us.
repulse us, so far away that we don't want to have anything to do with such a thing, right? And like, and the idea of just going after and bringing these things, it's like they want to bring all this immorality into submission. Like, what is the fixation, for these people to bring all the evil things back into submission? Like, some of them brought circumcision. Some people brought like other things, like insurance and all these things, and
Yep.
now and then other people, they brought like all these idolatrous holidays, and now these people want to bring in
Yep.
homosexuality.
Yeah, exactly. It's so disturbing too, because it's like submission. It's like an escape. It's supposed to be the. I mean, it is, for real submitters, but it's like the freedom, the escape to the path back to God, and like these,
Purified version.
yeah, purified, yeah, and it's like such a sigh of relief from all the satanic garbage out there in the world, and like these perverts. I have to call them that because, sorry if it
Mm-hmm.
it sounds a bit harsh, but like they are perverts in the sense that they're perverting the religion. They're
Mm-hmm.
seeking to distort God's message and advocate for these corrupted, evil things that uh, are tied hand in hand with Satan, and they're trying to make it a part of religion and
Mm-hmm.
dirty it for others. And then, yeah, it's like you said, they want to get other people to accept them, accept these things, and it's like no way, like
Mm-hmm.
these are these are really wicked people too, because especially that they would try to come and infiltrate and sit amongst us and spread their idolatry, uh, whether it's another form of Christmas or any of these other pagan holidays and the abominations of homosexuality and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, plus it's setting a horrible example for people of who do want to be purified, and they come and let's say
Mm-hmm.
they happen to run across this person, and he says, "Oh, is this what submission is about? I don't want anything to do with it." I
Mm-hmm.
mean, um, that's a grave sin that those people committed and lead and trying to lead potential submitters. And God's in control of God, and so I mean, like these people, God can guide them to the right uh, uh, message of submission, the only true message, and the right
Mm-hmm.
submitters. Despite
Mm-hmm.
all these sneaky so-called submitters who would try to lead others astray. I mean, God will
Mm-hmm.
save the real submitters, and pull them back somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. And then we have a president that cross dresses. I mean, he's a wicked
Mm-hmm.
homosexual and uh, child, etc., etc. It's so demonic. And yeah, there's people that are still like advocating for these people, and
Mm-hmm.
it really proves that they're still hard. They're still at heart, and they're idol worshippers.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not Ali, or if it's not Jesus, or or Mary, it's gonna be Trump, or it's gonna be you know. But
Mhm.
then these things are like these aren't even righteous idols, like they're very evil idols. You know, it's like if you were
Mhm.
teleported back in time
Yeah.
and you were worshiping the leader of Sodom and Gomorrah. I don't know who he was or what his
Mhm.
name was, but there was someone who's probably prominent, just like our
Mhm.
leader, and doing the same things.
Mhm.
It's like what type of person are you? You know,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's no difference, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it shows that proves that guidance is in God's hands, and God, like God, as God says in the Quran, God guides whomever He wills. God guides those who wish to be guided. Those who are sincerely seeking God's path. But uh, you know, everybody, not everybody is seeking God's path. So there are people that are seeking other things. When they come into submission, their goal is not to be righteous. Like and also God talks about people who, when times are bad, they turn to God, imploring Him alone. But then, when God showers them with mercy, they revert to idol worship, right? So you see people that are coming into submission, pretending to be submitters and devoting their religion to God alone. I guess maybe some of these people, when you hear their stories, they may have gone through like rough beginnings, which led them into submission, right? Because they implored God and they, stuff. And then, when those problems were resolved, I mean, they just lost all that devotion and sincerity, and, their doubts took over. And, anyways, that's the common story for most humans, right? So that's why we have to implore God to keep us on the right path. Obviously, if anybody thinks that it is easy to get into heaven, of course, it is not. But only with God's mercy for people that God has mercy on, He guides them and they can go. Anybody who thinks that they're good enough to just end up there, obviously they're just like you said. They can't fool God. They're actually just fooling themselves. Um, so we just have to constantly implore God for guidance and implore God for forgiveness, because we could be committing sins too, like God says, like until it becomes too late for people to repent. So may God continue to help us and guide us in the right path. That's why we pray to God that He guides us on the right path. People who already believe that they're so guided that they've never been misguided and they've always been, so pious.
Yeah, they've
Obviously,
always been known for their devoted one
piety.
system. Yeah, have we not been known for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, mashallah, thank God. Like the last study, like when you're talking about Abraham and the verses, if you look
Mhm.
at that, if we're talking about Abraham here,
Mhm.
like who in the Quran it says he was a beloved friend
Mhm.
of God, and we can see how he spoke, and we can see how that person and others spoke. Like
Mhm.
there is a night and day contrast between those two, and yeah, we know it's not characteristic of a submitter to say things like that, especially when they're being invited to to guidance, and they're being
Mhm.
directed in a very nice way too. I mean, even if it wasn't nice, that's not any excuse to disbelieve. It's like if
Mhm.
anything, the right mindset, even if someone wasn't nice, which wasn't the case, but I'm just saying, like they should be
Mhm.
like, oh, I deserve to be talked to like that because I'm doing something bad. Like
Mhm.
shame on me. Oh,
Mhm.
like you know what I mean? Like that's a better mindset to have. But we can see that these people. most people are insistent on their idol worship, some
Mm.
way, somehow. And yeah, it's yeah, thank God, like, uh,
Mm.
it's scary too to think about because it's like how many people have gotten the message and then like Satan gets them some way, somehow, and
Mm.
it's like we're in a very like serious dilemma or position. I mean, just being here in this world, and, uh, and really, we can't, like you said, we can't do anything really for ourselves. We just really have to hope. I mean, in a sense, what I mean by like we have to work extremely hard and strive, but in the greater sense of like we really, despite all of that, even despite our best efforts and all these things, we really have to hope and that God will have mercy on us.
Mm.
Because I mean, it's the most serious thing. Like the messenger said, it's a universal conference. Like imagine, like where
Mm.
all the people from the past, the present, and the future, and everyone in the heavens and the earth, like including the angels, will be there. All the other creatures. It's a universal. I mean, the day of judgment, and so there's no room for playing around as like the saying goes, or taking these things for not with the utmost seriousness.
Mm.
Um, so like, why do we have to come to God with our whole hearts? Like you read in the last, I always like that verse. I think it was the last study we read. It says only those who come to God with their whole hearts will be saved. So we have to do this, through repentance, through imploring Him, through seeking His guidance, His forgiveness, His help. When things are good, when things are bad, etc. And also to save us from like the tricks of these people, that would like try to distort the message, or really it's coming from Satan, these tricks that they would set up for the people.
Mm.
But he only has power, like the verse says, he only has power over the strayers and those who follow him. So all the people that are devoted to God alone aren't gonna uh, be affected by his schemes. Meaning devoted to God alone, meaning they don't implore anybody besides God. They trust in God. They repent only to God, not to Jesus, not to Mary or anybody else, and they don't set up, any humans as idols and so forth. Assalamu alaikum, brother Mardani joined us.
Almost shalom.
Salam alaikum, brothers.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sorry,
Welcome.
I couldn't make it.
Uh-huh. No problem. At least you joined.
Still a little bit on time.
Just in time for off topic.
Yeah,
Oh
just
yeah, okay, mashallah.
So, what about Brother Jaffer?
Oh, I don't know.
You
I
good?
think he's probably with his family.
Uh-huh. All right. Yeah, so mashallah, we read from Surah 26, verses, what was it? Verses 1,
want to
what
wait.
is it?
Want to
108.
wait. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
MashaAllah.
to 180.
Yeah, we were talking about Shuaib, Lot, and Adam, Thamud.
Oh, yeah, Shuaib, Adam, Tumut, yes, yes.
Hmm.
And
Right, and we were talking about how, for example, God talks about these things like corruption, lying, cheating, homosexuality, and what God did to these generations, these communities, and how we still see those things being so prevalent in today's world, even among people who call themselves submitters, are promoting people who are corrupt and homosexuals or homosexuals or both, and
yeah,
praising them and stuff, and bringing these things, trying to bring these things into submission, like thinking it's acceptable to God, or God made them that way. For example, like you can say you can say the same thing about someone who's corrupt, like who wants to steal, like in the case of Shoaib, right? These people are thieves, right?
yeah,
And taking people's money illicitly. And some people will even argue that there's a disease called kleptomaniac. Uh,
yeah,
person who has the disease of stealing,
yeah. It's,
and people will claim,
strange times, yeah.
mm, people will claim that God made them such a way, and yeah.
Yeah, when I explain this to some of my friends or families, I say the time that we are living in is there is a magnet of evil. It's pulling people towards them.
Hmm.
A huge
Hmm.
magnet of different kind of corruptions and
Yeah, yeah. The same magnet is pulling the Apophis too.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good
That's
one.
so funny.
I can add that later. I will tell that
Hmm.
Yeah.
there's also an opposite magnet.
Yeah, so all those people that got sucked in by that magnet, the Apophis is going to come
Mm.
get hit the
Yeah,
same
Yeah.
magnet and finish them off.
Yeah.
yeah, and the only positive magnet is the Quran. That's it.
Hmm.
Mashallah.
There is
Yeah.
nothing else. The rest is
Hmm.
so corrupt and
Hmm.
misguidance and
Praise be to God. I mean, that really,
very hard. Yeah,
when we think about it, that really hits you like hard about being on Satan's domain, you know, where like everything is corrupt, except God's religion, and the truth and the Quran, and everything else is, leading people in the wrong direction, and here you
yeah,
have, just like when God said this book is a beacon and mercy, if you see like a beacon is like one small light in the middle of all darkness, all around it there's darkness, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
So the same way, like all around God's beacon and light, there's darkness everywhere, and you have this one beacon that's there as a guiding light to guide you to the path of God.
MashaAllah, yeah, brother.
Mashallah.
It's,
I ought to make a short little video or like reel, with that like a little
Hmm.
visualization. That's
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
yeah, that like
You can make a
visualizing.
song about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
yeah,
very true. Like more hearing y'all say that, and it's so true. Because there's so much nonsense, like and evil out there, and
Hmm.
in the world, and everything
oh,
is
brother
really
Jafar joined.
so much.
Hmm.
Assalamu alaikum.
So,
Salam
Salam
assalamu
alaikum.
alaikum,
alaikum.
brother.
Yeah,
You were
we
just.
were in a
Miracle
meeting.
happened.
Ah, man. I totally didn't saw any messages. I was with
Uh,
Sertan. Man. Yeah, but how was
with
it? How did
Satan?
it go? Sorry?
So you were with Satan?
It sounded like
That's
It
what did you
sounded
say?
like Satan.
Sertan. Is
with
how it's called.
Sertan.
Satan.
Sertan.
That's his name is Sertan.
Oh.
He is he's an agnostic guy. You know, he's
Uh huh.
agnostic,
Uh huh.
and so we were
I still
talking
don't know what
about
agnostic is.
agnostic is someone who
Atheist.
doesn't say. No, he's not. Yeah, he says he's not an atheist. He says he doesn't know yet. He's doing some research. He doesn't say God doesn't exist. He doesn't say this.
Mm. But he's
Yeah,
a
and
He
we
very
were
doesn't
good
have a
talking
guy.
about
religion. He doesn't have a religion, basically.
Apophis.
He's a
Yeah,
disbeliever.
and then we were. Yeah, he's at the moment he's a
Disbeliever.
disbeliever. So we were talking about like
Yeah.
Apophis, all the things, the Quran, and all that stuff, and I didn't recognize what time it was. We were at office,
Uh-huh.
and then so time went by. I didn't hear the phone, so yeah.
I
And
also
now
just
I'm in the
joined
car.
just two
Mm-hmm.
Oh
minutes, 3 minutes.
really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How was the study? We'll watch on YouTube, God willing. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mashallah, we were reading about. We started from Surah. John, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, sir. Not 108. Sir,
26,
yeah,
108.
sir. 26, verse 108 to 180, and yeah, just going over how we see the all the messengers. You know, Shuaib, Noah, Hud, and last studies we read about Moses and Abraham. You know, and then how they all went with the same message, telling the people, you know, pointing out to them the errors of their ways and that they should reverence God and that they're not asking them for any money. You know, they all genuine, true messengers, are doing this, do this for the people and, invite to the path of God. And, but the people disbelieve and, you know, pretty much with every case, this is a lesson, but most people are not believers, as the verse highlights. And even after the next verse says, most surely your Lord is the Almighty, most merciful. So, you know, these people are given chances and chances, but they don't want to turn away from their corrupted ways. And then Brother Suleiman had a really good point, too, like that, you know, we see like these same types of characteristics that are you know befitting of these same transgressors and disbelieving communities of the past, and we see this today, and it's trying to infiltrate submission such as like homosexuality and these other things, these paganists or pagan holidays. Paganist isn't a word, and so forth, and that this is just more it's honestly kind of upsetting, you know, the more I'm thinking about it since he said it, because it's like something like submission is so pure, and it's an escape, right, from all the nonsense and lies and corruption of this world. You know, as we were just talking about, Mardani brought up, and then we have these evil people who would seek to come in and like take something pure and try to corrupt it and twist it, and you know, and then it sets a horrible example or a bad example for future generations, or you know, people of the future who would seek to come into submission, because I mean it's an escape to God, and it's not, you're not trying to, um you know, it's an escape back to God, and that the fact that they would try to, uh, you know, bring their garbage into the religion and want other people to accept it is just disastrous, you know. But may God protect us and cause these people to their schemes to fail.
yeah, Marshall, I had a question, brother. This was actually something that we were discussing a few days ago. Um, yeah, I don't think it's off topic, but it's about, you know, when we do the Quran studies, there comes always a moment when we give examples of the disbelievers, of the people that are doing all these things, you know, all these wrong things, yeah? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the Messenger of the Covenant, he also talks a lot about, you know, in the studies, he he gives that as an example. Also, throughout the whole Quran, God continuously talks about the disbelievers. He gives the
Mm-hmm.
examples on what type of people they are.
Mm-hmm.
He gives us, this is like being repeated so many times. So, like, my own opinion is when we talk about a certain topic and then we give the example of the disbelievers and we give the example of, how wrong it is what they are doing, and pointing out that those are bad people, I think it's something that needs to be pointed out. We need to talk about it, right? Like, or should we focus more on the topic itself? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with talking about that. Like I agree with you. I mean, if you need to give examples, you can give examples. Even if you need to mention names, you can mention. It's not like backbiting. Like we can see even from like, just look at all the newsletters for submission with the submitter's perspective. The Messenger of the Covenant wrote. There's names of all the leaders of all the different organizations. The famous figures, everything like. He doesn't shy away from mentioning them. And I mean, that's another thing, like when people who claim that they're submitters, I mean, if you bring these things up, like immediately you get attacked by these people. Like, oh no, you're backbiting, you're gossiping. You even give them examples, but they already have developed this idea that you don't say anything negative about anybody, like uh, thinking
Yeah.
that this is righteous.
It's
you
probably
know
because they don't want to be
yeah.
exposed. Like kind of like Satan
Hmm.
wants people to be
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is all hypocrisy because they will do they will mention people and they will literally like say things behind people's back, but when it comes to like openly talking about the situations, whether it's community affairs or situations that we have to face, they will not even discuss those things. And the idea is that Satan doesn't want uh, to bring people's attention to his schemes by doing these things, like that way, all his agents, his workers are exposed. His scheming is exposed, and he doesn't want that. Like we see, for example, the messenger, how he confronted this one woman in the middle of a conference, and in the middle of it, they recorded in a national conference, you know, and
Yeah,
you,
exposed.
yeah. Mhm. So yeah, exactly. So I mean, we it depends on if it's necessary, if it helps, if it sends a message clear. Obviously, we don't need to beat around the bush or just hint, oh, there is an individual. This person looks like this, or he has I don't know, three fingers. I'm just making it up, and you try to find that person or the group. But they don't even say that. Like for example, if you look at the submitters' perspectives of today, comparing it to the messenger. I mean, the messenger was really fighting with these disbelievers and Mohammedans and all of these people, and he's talking about what they're doing and stuff, and you look at them and you get advice and things, beautiful articles about Quran and stuff, but then you also get the news about what's really happening around the world of submission, and how these disbelievers are behaving and stuff. All this information is there, but you look at pick any submitters perspective now, and it's just like they're talking about the animals, or they're talking about some birds and stuff, which which in itself, I mean, would be fine if you had a good balance and you were also talking about things that really mattered in the life of a submitter, besides these things also, but not to say that you can't talk about birds and stuff. I mean, you can talk about them, but you can also talk about issues that are relevant to us, and if that includes giving examples, then we give examples.
Can we talk to the birds?
Man.
We can
Yeah.
talk to the birds also. Yeah.
I
I was just thinking that as I was saying. I was like, yeah, no, I
I
wouldn't say that.
I yeah.
I
I
know.
have a few birds I'll talk to.
Um,
We can send birds and get information. Also about these
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing, just to, um, on that topic, brother, is like, these things that we mentioned too are things that specifically have come up within our midst. There's people that, like a lot of the examples, Brother Jaffer was mentioning Suleiman, like these are things that we've pretty much just unfolded amongst us, or that we've seen firsthand, and they're very important and relevant to talk about, as the reasons Brother Suleiman just gave. And also, it sets, I think, a good, should, God willing, set a good precedent and example for people in the future, to just be aware that these things are, just because the submission is out there, doesn't mean that everybody that uh, says they're submitter is an actual submitter, and meaning that they actually follow the Quran alone, they worship God alone, and they don't uh commit evil, etc., because we can see that that's not the case. But in another sense, it kind of makes a lot of sense, in context of like what we just read in the Quran, and what the entire Quran in of itself, all the wisdom in it, that um the majority of people, somehow they get trapped or tricked into committing some type of idol worship. And then especially, when people are attributing lies to God and saying things like homosexuality is okay, or this and that, and they're making up these excuses. And then there's other submitters, communities. I think they were in the Turkish community. I forgot his name. I think it didn't start with an A. The one that was the cursed Arab one. I'm trying to remember his name. I can't.
Ashraf.
Ashraf, yeah. And then so he goes and seeks validation from other submitters, and they're like patting him on the back, like, yeah, brother, it's and I mean, like, you, it's really mind blowing, because I mean, we have right here in the Quran about what an abomination this is, and then just the verses we read. And then, like, we don't want to subject ourselves to this. I mean, we as submitters, this, like, just to reemphasize, this is an escape from all the garbage and nonsense and corruption in the world, and we have the path back to God. And there's people coming in here seeking to do Satan's work, and I think this is important, right, to talk about when it's relevant, as to because it's relevant to our salvation, in the sense that we don't acquiesce to these people. We don't get tricked. Obviously, with God's help and His guidance, I mean, He protects us, but we also have to be aware and speak up for what's right. Because there's other people that are listening, could be listening, or going to listen in the future, that are going to come across these types of ideas. And so, but if they're prepared to deal with them, and they have context and light, they're not going to, God willing, they're not going to be tricked. So, but anyway, that's all I had. I did have a question about the camel. Can we go over again? I think last year I'd asked about the camel's miracle, and I think it was explained to me. But could we talk about that again?
Yeah. So, what was your question about the camel? Like, what was the miracle about the camel?
Yeah. So the camel. So there was a day that was assigned to her or was there a day that all camels drink on, like most camels that they drink, and then this camel, she decided not to drink, or that
No.
she, how does that work?
So camels don't have a calendar. or an Apple Watch or anything like that. They don't know what day it is, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, so this camel knew everything, and that's really made it's a miracle. He knew exactly
yeah,
which day he could drink.
But okay, what
yeah,
does
and
it mean?
basically,
Specified days of drinking? Is that days of drinking for who the for a day that is different from your specified days? What does that mean? Referring to the humans or the camels drinking days, or because
so.
how people will like bring their horses to the trough on specific
Mhm,
days. That's what I was
mhm,
thinking of. Like
So
like
imagine,
I
like
know.
for example, like you have a dog, right? And you want to train the dog, you can teach them a lot of tricks, right? Dogs are highly intelligent, right? I mean, you can give them 100 or 200 different toys, and they will remember them, which one is which, and you ask them by name, and they'll pick that one for you, right? But you can't train a dog even to remember this type of stuff, like what day it is. Like, how would you do that? The dog doesn't have that thing in his brain to know that, right? Like, imagine trying to, if someone gave you a challenge like that, right? You can't do that, because all days look the same to a dog or to a human being. Even the only way we can tell is if we try to keep track of it, or by having a calendar or something like that. So but I think they also had maybe separated their own days from the days that they wanted their camels to drink, you know. But I mean, that's just my
That's what I
understanding,
was,
right?
yeah, that's what I was
But
meant in the
yeah,
beginning. Like days that
but
their
then,
camel drink.
the camel wouldn't know when they're
Right.
supposed to drink and when they're not supposed to drink. They just relied on the human beings to let them
Mhm.
drink when it was their day and not drink on other days, right? But this camel would only drink on their specific days of drinking, right?
On a day that is different than their
They're
specific.
so, yeah, different than their days, and the camel knew what those days were.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, so it
Yeah,
probably maybe refused or something. Like all the other camels were drinking, and
yeah,
it decided not to
mm-hmm.
drink. And then who told him it would be this day? And then finally the camel
Mm-hmm.
began to drink,
Mm-hmm.
and then they slaughtered her for no reason. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're selling camel. How
Urine.
do you call it? Urine, yes, in Arabia, and they say it's gonna give you blessings or health or something. They're
Uh
selling it,
huh. Uh
and
huh.
some people shower with it or wash their face
Uh
with
huh.
it, because there's one of hadith or something that it's good for you or something.
Uh huh.
Did you guys hear
Yeah.
about this?
Uh, John, didn't you order it on eBay?
Uh,
I'm just kidding.
he called me.
Camel milk is very good, but this other thing is going too far.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
camel milk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have camel milk here in the U.S. or no? I don't think so.
I don't think so. You'd have probably. We don't even have camels
Camels. No, we had
unless
there's a camel.
you.
I saw. Well, I didn't see a camel. But they had a camel at a event
Yeah,
back
they're
from
gonna
where.
have camels in zoos and stuff, like, and like they keep them, right.
Mhm.
Those ones for the events they probably bring from the zoos or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Um. Yeah, it was so disturbing actually. Um. This one circumcisionist lady, and like she was like some kind of a natural doctor, and I don't know. One day she was telling me something about drinking your own pee. She said it's really good for like fighting allergies. And I was so shocked. I was like, okay. Yeah, I mean, a submitter, imagine, like, she had been submitter for so many years.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I was just thinking to myself, oh, like, does she actually do that herself?
Probably if she does, if
Yeah.
she's advocating it, yeah.
Yeah. Disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, like the way we were created was urine is has a lot of
Hmm.
particulates and stuff that's not meant to re-enter the body, from the
Yeah, and there's a
pimples and
reason why
stuff.
it's going out.
Right.
Not in. Anyways, let's not talk about that anymore.
So, are you eating something?
No, no, no. I'm just thinking about my wife.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, she's extremely sensitive to uh, taste and smell and these types of things right now. So,
uh,
inshallah. So, anyways, um, any other comments or questions? Any other off-topic questions? So, I mean, actually, I just put it in Gemini. Your question about the verse is about the camel, right? And it says the people of Thamud were known for their architectural prowess, carving homes into mountains, but they had fallen to idol worship and social injustice. When they challenged Saleh to produce a miracle to prove his prophethood, God brought forth a unique she camel from a rock. Well, I don't know about the rock, but that's what it says here. It could be from Hadith or something. Uh, uh, and so, what was unique about this camel? About this camel. How was that a miracle? Right? So it says it's investigating right now.
mashallah. Yeah, because when I mentioned
It
the
says
camel, go ahead. Yeah.
it says the she camel was unique not just in physical presence but since origin, its output, and the specific condition. So, anyways, I'm gonna skip the other part. It says the camel had inexhaustible milk production. I don't know where they get it from.
I didn't know.
Yeah. It said the divine share of water. It said in the arid climate of Arabian Peninsula, water was the most precious resource. The decree that the camel would drink all the water on her day and the people on theirs was a radical test of faith and social order. Yeah, see that
Sounds
doesn't
like Hadith.
doesn't
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
like,
think we only find this information clearly explained by the messenger
mhm,
in this translation.
right. Yeah, what I meant in the beginning, like I know that camels don't know what day it is. That's not what I what got deferred from it. But what I was saying is that like the camel has this specified days of drinking, meaning the humans, like in the same way, how like farmers or ranchers will guide their horses to the troughs and then they all their herds and stuff, and then they all drink, and then the farmer or rancher brings it back. I was imagining it was the same thing. All the camels have their specific day that they drink. Not that they on their own volition, but that the people herd them and round them up. And but this camel didn't want to drink, or it refused, which would have been like, wow, you're supposed to be thirsty. And then I guess on the day that was assigned to her, but it doesn't. I guess it doesn't. I don't know what day it was assigned to. Maybe did Hood assign that day
Hmm.
to her? Maybe, and then she actually drank on that day, having refused the other days of specified drinking. And then the people saw like that it came to pass and it was true. And then the rest is yeah, we know what they did and they slaughtered. Um,
Hmm.
but that was just my
Yeah. So actually, this is something I found here. Right. It says um, there's a historical custom called the shurb, which is the water share system. It says in pre-Islamic and early Arabian tribal law, water rights were governed by a strict system known as shurb rotation. Because a well could only recharge so fast, tribes negotiated turns. This is a historical practice documented in ancient Omani al-Flaj systems and Nabatean inscriptions. The specified day here uses the term Shirbu Yaumin Ma'lumin, a, a drink on a known day. This reflects a legal reality of the time. Water was allocated by the day or hour. By demanding an entire day for the she camel was essentially demanding a 50% tax on the city. But yeah, the interesting part here I see is that it says they had like this sharing system called the Sherb, where tribes would have take turns to drink water on specific hours or specific days, because it was such a scarce thing, you know. Like for example, if like they have to share, right, resources, so it would get too overcrowded probably and stuff, right? So then they'd have a system. Okay, this day is just for these people, and then maybe they had a day for the animals separately, right?
Yeah, we need to probably start practicing that same stuff when Apophis comes.
Mhm.
I was just thinking, like, yeah, water, like, we might only have no, I'm just kidding.
So water is just, well, I mean, how would that affect the water supply?
No, it was just a joke, brother. Like with the
Oh,
food
okay.
and the water.
Oh, okay.
But you never know. Like if they were to shut off, I guess the infrastructure and stuff.
The smoke goes down, right? So it's going to affect rainwater. It's gonna go
Yeah,
into the
No, but
soil.
we have like water salination. I mean, water purification systems in all cities, at least in the U.S.
I think so.
Going on that needs to work.
Uh, there's
Huh?
gonna like acid rain,
Hmm.
acid rain, but it's gonna be like very severe, like right in the Middle East and stuff. But
Yeah.
in the
But
U.S.,
you
it's
can
not.
always use your water osmosis device,
Uh,
You can always use your water osmosis
yeah,
uh, device.
yeah. Plus, I have the water tablets too, to where you can
Mm.
purify. You can purify pretty murky water and dirty water, and
Yeah, mashallah.
it's not toxic either. Like this is used by survivalists, and I think military, these little tablets, and it's very it doesn't take up a lot of space, and you can have enough for like I think 300 or 400 days. So for
Mm-hmm.
multiple people,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so actually I found this video about the Al Hijr Valley, um, and I'm gonna share, God willing. It shows how they carved the rocks in the mountains. I will share that on the WhatsApp group, God
should I
willing.
play it here too? Maybe
You can if you want to. Yeah, sure. It's a good idea.
can you put in the
I
chat
put it in
too?
the what? I put it in the. You want me? I message you
Yeah, yeah. Well, on the computer.
on the. I said put it in the WhatsApp. You want to put it in this another chat? Oh, here
Yeah,
in the chat. Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
This chat so I can copy and paste.
sure. Where is it? Yeah.
Yeah, so they were the people of Al Hijr Valley. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm
I
open.
think so.
I'm training AI right now with the
Yeah, I mean, these types of homes, my understanding is that they belong to a certain kind of people, and they were like spread out uh, in the Arabian, peninsula, right? So you see them here in Al Hijr Valley. You also see them in like other countries, and they look very similar in architecture. It's like it was like the same type of people, you know.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
cool.
that's why I was telling you earlier that they both carved
Art, right?
because they were very close in time, in history to each other. That's why when you see in the Quran that Ad and Thamud are mentioned together, and God says their brother Hud said to them,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Yeah, invariably they're almost always mentioned together. Okay, I'm playing it.
Hmm.
I had to sign into YouTube, but I'm playing it.
Hmm. Uh, it can be challenging to play and hear at the same time on the other computer. It almost never works. You can probably see the audio, but not hear the uh, video. I mean, hear the audio, but not the video. It's just a 1 minute clip, anyways. Okay, I mean, I guess if it's taking so long, I mean, we don't really need to
No,
play.
I just played it.
Oh, you already played it? Where?
Yeah. I probably didn't share my screen. That was probably the
Yeah.
mistake. I had to play it in Mozilla because I couldn't sign in on.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I mean, I
Yeah.
can share. I can share again.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
It's
But
okay,
it
brother.
it did play on the it did play on the stream though, on the live
Okay.
stream. Yeah, so
Oh,
other
it did?
people.
Oh.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
audio, was the audio playing? Yeah, I guess it would be playing then.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
was
but we
really
wouldn't be able
something.
to hear it. Yeah, yeah, but there's
Mhm.
no sound anyway. Just
Yeah, it's just
visual.
music. So that was odd or Al Hijr Valley. The Al
Mm-hmm.
Hijr Valley was the people of were the people of
Al Hijr.
Al Hijr.
Yeah, but then it shows the carving of the homes, but it says, it says it was for the people of Saleh, you know, because it says the other name for Hijr is Madayan Saleh, you know.
Oh,
So yeah, so it most likely is the same thing.
yeah, they had luxurious mansions down
Mm-hmm.
in the mountains. That's really
Modern day Madayan Saleh. This is the Al Hijr, yeah. The people of Thamud, it says Al Hijr.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then didn't it for the people of Ad, it talked about the town of Iram, Erum, and they had tall, yeah, they had like super tall buildings and stuff. Very impressive. Yeah, just like the Arabs today, they have the same stuff, but just upgraded.
Yeah.
And they probably think they're bunkers too, like in the same way that these people thought their mansions in the mountains, they were super secure, nothing was going to penetrate it, etc. But God still destroyed them easily. So even if they have bunkers or this or that, it's not going to protect them. And even people here in the U.S., like some of these, a lot of these corrupt leaders, building bunkers beneath the White House and stuff. Like,
There is also a verse, I believe, that God will find them. The dead will find them, even if they are.
formidable passes, yes, sir, or poor. I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of them. Yeah, death will catch up to you no matter, even if you're in formidable castles.
Yeah.
The death you're trying to escape. So that's a good verse, a good reminder, like for all of us, you know how temporary this life is, and that the real life is the hereafter.
What's this? All right, so if there are no other comments or questions, God willing, we can conclude the study. MashaAllah, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Brother John, for teaching today. MashaAllah, God willing, our next English Quran study would be on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.